G'day fellas, welcome to the Outback Octagon. We are going to be going through absolutely everything you need to know about the Outback Octagon, who the 32 players are, how the scoring works, and what exactly the rules are. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the Outback Octagon, we are putting 32 of the world's best players up against each other in free-for-all, nomad, mega random civilization games. Let's just go with that. So I'm going to take you through the handbook. We're going to have a look at what the rules are, and we're going to get straight into it. But before we do, make sure that you check it out, because as this video goes live over on YouTube 1 hour after it's uploaded, we're going to be live over on Twitch. Now, all the games will eventually get uploaded over to YouTube, but if you do want to catch them live, then I will leave a link in the description to where you can catch all that good content. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the Outback Octagon. So, the Outback Octagon pits 32 of the world's best players in a free-for-all tournament, taking place over 5 weeks throughout June 2022. That's right now. Players will initially be split into 4 groups of 8. From there, the opponents for each week will change as the Swiss system begins to form a hierarchy of players. So, it's going to be every single Wednesday and Thursday throughout June. So that means your 1st and 2nd, 8th and 9th, 15th and 16th, 22nd, 23rd, and 29th and 30th, which will be the final stage. So invitations were based on their players' ATR rankings, as well as their existing standing in the FFA community. So if you don't know, there's quite a big free-for-all community that exists online at the moment. They play a lot of games together. So if you were, I definitely weighed that into, because it was part of the invitation process. Was just sort of the quality, not the quality, but their standing within that community, and whether they were playing a lot of games and whether they were a big part of it. That's it. So, point system. Points are awarded based on overall position a player is eliminated. So less points will be awarded the earlier a player is knocked out. So points are also awarded for numerous other events, including eliminating another player, being alive when another player is victorious, and for a successful wonder victory when at least 4 people are alive when the wonder is completed. So that is the key. You can't just build it and leave it. You got to actually finish it. So as you can see, the scoring is down here. So we obviously give a lot of points over to 1st place, and then 2nd through to 8th all get points depending on where they finish. So in addition to that, so let's say that you come 7th, but you killed the guy who came 8th. You got 3 points. Well, sorry, you got 2 points, and then you got an additional 2 points on top of that. So you got 4 points in total, which is the equivalent of 5th. So what we're trying to do here is promote people to actually kill the enemy. Now, this goes in quite a deep level, the way that I was thinking about it. So it's by killing the last remaining landmark. So let's say, as an example, you're in the castle age, you got 3 landmarks, 2 of them are dead, 1 of them remains, and someone is killing your landmark. People could potentially look to go for a bit of a snipe there. You know, maybe I'm killing somebody and then someone else comes in and snipes. So the way I thought about it was like a gazelle, you know, when it's dead and the lions are fighting over it. I was thinking about it like that. So that is a way that you can get points by killing somebody. The second way is to be alive when another player is victorious. So let's say if somebody does go for a sacred site or a wonder victory and you remain alive until the end of the game, you'll get an additional 2 points. And then if you do get a successful wonder victory, when 4 or more players are alive, when the wonder is completed, you will get an additional 5 points. So not only would you win with the 15 points, but you would also get that additional 5 points. Apologies, these lights are quite bright, and I think they're causing my eye to play up. But yeah, you would get a total of 20 points. And then, you know, you might have killed 2 people in the game as well, so 24 points. You'd be rolling in points right there. And so the idea is that throughout the first 4 weeks of the tournament, that you would be collecting up points, you would be bringing them all together, and then by the time it gets to the final stage, that is when the points matter, because that's when we're going to be, you know, sorting out the cream from the crop, all that good stuff. So rules, here they come. Stone walls are banned in the feudal age. You can make them in the castle age. Stone towers completely banned. Trading, I'm going to turn that music down. That music is, calm down the Viper. You're taking out everybody's ears over here, Viper. So trading with the market of players who are still alive, that is strictly forbidden, because you can actually do that. You can, however, trade with the market of an eliminated player. So If somebody is, eliminated, you can use their market as a zombie market and then trade with that, because then it's very easy. If somebody sees that, then they can potentially target that. The problem is because we do have alliances in this game that may potentially be made and broken, that if you've got two players that are trading together, then basically they've got a form of gold, and there's two people able to protect that, and it makes it very difficult to dismantle that. So we decided to rule that out. You can, of course, also trade with the neutral trading post. Players must have their civilization as random. They cannot pick their civilization. They must have no team, so they cannot be teamed up. The game must be played on the Nomad mod, and players must begin constructing a town center before 10 minutes. So I did have someone messaging me saying, hey, Drongo, I just realized that if you don't ever make your town center, then you don't ever have any landmarks, and you can just hide a villager on the edge of the map, and you could get second place just by not playing. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. We should make a rule against that. So there's that rule. Engaging in combat with another player's villager is not permitted until your town center is completed. So this is a big one. So in the beginning of the game, you'll be running into lots of people's villages to avoid that happening and having a bit more of a fair game, because I don't want people to be, imagine if you've got one villager stuck, one villager is getting attacked by a wolf, and then that same villager is also getting attacked by someone else's villager. And imagine if it's like an English player. It's just it just wasn't fair. So we said, you know what, we'll rule that out. So if you get a bad civilization, no rerolls. If you get a bad spawn, no rerolls. In the event that there is a sync error, so let's just say maybe you're thinking, Johnny didn't like getting the deli, so he desynced the game. Just hypothetically, still have to play the same civ. So bad luck on that. In the event that there is a sync error, you will be forced to play the same civ. No re-rolls on that one. Obviously, just standard rules against cheating. And now the big one. This is a bit of a bit of a spicy meatball right here. Collusion. What is collusion? Collusion is teaming up with another person. Teaming up is a bit of a difficult pickle to solve, because I feel like no matter what, you're always going to have allegations of people teaming up, whether that is overt, whether that is covert. And I've suggested, or I've gone with the plan here to actually allow people to team up and then use that as part of the strategy. So as an example, I can team up with, let's say, Beastie Cutie this game, but what's the guarantee that he doesn't backstab me? What's the guarantee I don't backstab him? And that might be a covert relationship. We might not actually share that with everybody else, but then people might work it out. They might say, hey, these guys aren't attacking each other. I think they're working together. Let's work together to take them down. And by the same token, it might be an overt relationship where they're actively saying that, and then that can be targeted as well. So going through the rules, and in addition to that, players will be rotated through week by week. So as an example, the first week, I'll show you what it looks like. We've got it here. So this week, it's going to be Beastie Cutie, Lucifron, 3DB, Salami, Iagus, and Blade Kaio and State in Game 1. You can see Game 2, Game 3, Game 4. So as an example, maybe next week, 3DB and Beastie Cutie are in the same game, but then we've taken Zertan and Core, Dinky King and Bruh, and then Striker and GUA, and put them all in the same game. So, maybe Beastie and Salami were teaming up. Well, guess what? That was only in the first week, because they're probably not going to play again against each other for the next 3 weeks. So, is it really that big of an issue if we let people team up? Probably not. Probably not. We have published the games that will be played and the times that people will be playing. Once again, I do remind you guys, 15 GMT on Wednesday and Thursday. Do come along. So that is when the action begins. But yeah, so in addition to that, so while communicating with people during a game outside of the in-game chat function is strictly forbidden, players can look to convince other players in the game to work together to take out a mutual threat. So we've specifically said that if you do want to team up, if you do want to collude with someone, you can't do that with Discord, you can't do that on Skype, you can't do that on MSN Messenger. It must be through the in-game chat function for any kind of communication to happen. Obviously, we can't police it, but we have to make it against the rules. It's one of those things like politicians and paying taxes and all of that. The politicians, I'm not going to get into it, but you guys know what I mean, right? You can't enforce it, but you can definitely make a rule against it. And of course, players are permitted to form secret alliances prior to a game starting. So as these have been published, you know, Blade knows that he's playing with Salami. He could send him a message and say, hey, we're in the same group this week. Did you want to team up? But guess what? Maybe Lucifron has also sent Salami a message saying that. And maybe Salami's got alliances with both of these guys. And there's going to become a point in time where those alliances are tested, when they're broken. And I think that really plays into the story. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Those are the rules. Prize distribution. You can see we've got a very flat prize distribution as well. The idea here is that we want to make sure that we've got $10,000 to give away. And that with this, obviously it's going to get spicy. It's going to get really spicy when we start getting towards those finals. And so to mitigate that as much as possible, we flatten the prize pool just to try and offset some of that. But look, there's still a pretty big difference between 2,500 and 750. So I'm sure those guys are still going to be trying hard to win. Casting guidelines. These are pretty standard. You guys don't really need to worry about that. You can have a look at rule number 3. So if you were casting in on the official stream of Golden League, there's a specific rule that says you can't have spicy food within the 24 hours immediately before a stream. I'm okay with it here. If you want to cast with me on the official stream, you can. And you can eat spicy food. I'll let you. And then finally, we get to the finals, of course. So, once the Swiss stage has been completed, the 16 players who have accumulated the most points will progress to the finals. In the event that 2 or more players are on the same amount of points and a tiebreaker is required, the method of tiebreak is as follows. Number 1, wonder victory. So if you've got a wonder victory and your opponent doesn't, bad luck. You win. Number 2, if neither of you have got wonder victories or both of you have got one, then it goes on game victories. So how many games you've won. You might have won those through landmarks. You may have won it through sacred sites. That's the next default. After that, the next one is player eliminations, and then finally landmark kills if we need to get that far. But all of this is, of course, will be tracked because all of these are being determined, all of these guarantee points, with the exception of landmark kills. But if it gets to that stage, we'll have to go back through the logs, double check how many landmarks were killed by each player. That'll be fun. And then, so the finals are going to be broken up over 2 days. So the first day is going to act as a 5th leg for the Swiss stage. So basically, we're going to organize players into 2 separate groups. We're going to zipper them in. So odds and evens. So that means 1, 3, 5, 7, they go on one side. 2, 4, 6, 8, they go on the other side. And they will play 1 game each. Players will retain the points that they use to progress to the finals. And they will also have an opportunity to earn a 5th round of points on that day. And that is because we've now got bloodbath scoring. That is correct. Bloodbath scoring, players earn twice as many points for eliminating other players. So let's say that maybe in your top 16, let's say you've got one player with 54 points and that's the top. And then you got another player down the bottom with 37. So that's your spread. Let's say Marine Lord is the guy at the top. What happens if this game comes about and he gets a really terrible spawn? He gets such a bad spawn that one of his villages is stuck. One of them is getting attacked by 2 wolves. And the other one runs into a Chinese town center while he was trying to get across the map. Maybe he gets knocked out at the beginning of the game and he gets no points. But for him, maybe it doesn't matter because he's already got such a point lead from the initial Swiss stage. It's going to carry over into that 5th day, and then it should hopefully carry him through to the finals. And so we want to reward people, or I want to reward people who have been successful in those Swiss stages with almost a guaranteed spot in the finals. Obviously, I can't do that. I mean, I probably could do that, but that's not how I wanted to do it. I wanted to spice things up. Let's do it. Bloodbath scoring. So basically, instead of 2 points, it'll be 4 points for a kill. And it will mean people who are on those lower point counts are going to have to work really hard if they want to get up into that top bracket. They're going to start having to take out a lot of people. And it's only going to be the 8 with the highest points. So on day number 2, once both of those games are finished, the 8 players who have accumulated the most points will progress through to the final day, where 3 games will take place. So every day we've got 2 games except for the very last day, which is 3. Points will be reset for every single player back to 0. And the first 2 games follow regular scoring, but the 3rd game has bloodbath scoring. So that is it. So it might get to the point where once again Marine Lord breaks away with a big lead and it looks like he might win. Then maybe in the 3rd game he has a bad game And because we've got that bloodbath scoring, it means people can now catch up to him even faster than what they could before. So that is it. That is the way it is going to go. And then, of course, the final it will be determined based on who has got the most points. So the person who wins the last game might not necessarily win. But who knows? Maybe with bloodbath scoring, we could look at changing it to make it so that the winner gets more points. But I'm not sure. We can put that in the change log. But in addition to this, we're going to be not necessarily debuting, but using a couple of things. A couple of little tools, so I'll show you some of those. You guys will be familiar with this. This, of course, is just a random, mega random game. Let me take us over there. So you can see right here, we're spectating Jessiology, and she's playing a mega random nomad game at the moment, and people are building their town centers, and so we're going to be using a tool that increases your minimap size. So there we go. So that's what it's going to look like. So you're going to have a bigger minimap. You can see the difference right there between them. And so it means when we're spectating, that hopefully, it should be a little bit easier to see the minimap because there is quite a lot going on over down here. And so that is one of the tools that we're going to be using here. In addition to that, you guys would be familiar with the Golden League overlay. So we're looking to get something similar. I know that we're not going to have it for the first week, but hopefully by the second week we can get it in. But I'll give you guys an update with that. But if you've got any questions, leave them down below. Once again, 15 GMT, Thursday and Wednesday, every single week in June. Be there or be square or be here on YouTube where it'll get uploaded, so don't worry. But if you've got any questions, let me know down below. We are starting. And I'm excited, and by the time this goes live, it'll be less than an hour before the games get rolling. I'm incredibly excited. $10,000 of the coldest, hardest cash coming in, of course, from Microsoft. So big shout out to them, and big shout out to the tournament coordinator, Nilly, for his coordination on this project. And I'm looking forward to some free-for-all. I hope you guys are as well. And with that, I bid you guys good night.